What's going on, everybody? So last time what we did, we got the pedal assembly installed in the car. Before that, we got the steering column built. Now my plan for what I wanted to do next was run all the lines and get the brake system all operational, and just try to work out the little kinks here and there, find anything I might need to do, get it done, or anything I might need to order parts for and order parts for it. But budget's a little bit tight right now, so I didn't really have the money to order up all the lines and fittings and everything, because that stuff adds up real quick and gets real expensive. But I do have a list of what I need to get, so I'm going to try and get that stuff ordered this week, hopefully. But I figured for today, I do have some material laying around, so what I can do is start building the hydraulic handbrake for the car. You can buy hydraulic handbrakes online. They're usually like 200, 250 bucks, somewhere around there. And they're really good quality, but I don't like spending a lot of money if I don't have to. I have a welder, I know how to make shit, I've done it before, so I figure, hey, why not just make our own handbrake? So I got some material here. I do not have a master cylinder for the handbrake yet, but fortunately, it shares the same master cylinder that we're using in our manual pedal assembly. So we're going to use one of these temporarily inside of it, just to kind of line everything up, get all the brackets built, and get the handle cut. So let's get started with it. Let's take some measurements, figure out where we need to drill our holes, how big we need to cut our brackets, and yeah, start cutting some metal. Okay, so we have our diagrams laid out right here for the master cylinder size, and it shows exactly how big the holes need to be and how far apart they're spread, and it looks like they're 2 1/4 inch apart. So I got some material right here. We're gonna measure it up. We're gonna draw where we need to drill our holes, our hole saw for the center of the master cylinder to come through, and then the 2 holes where it'll bolt onto, and that'll be the faceplate of where the actual master cylinder is going to bolt on. Then we got to build our sides, our bottom, and then our pivot for where the hydraulic handbrake is going to go onto. So we're probably going to need to build a clevis for it too. That'll go onto the handle, that'll thread onto the actual master cylinder right here. So let's get that drawn up and get it cut out and drilled. So I think we're going to make it 2 1/4 wide. Trying to use a pen because I lost all my Sharpies again. This pen sucks. I really wish I had a Sharpie. I'm gonna go find a Sharpie. I can't do this. These things suck. Alright, I found one. Finally found a Sharpie. Alright, where were we? Might as well remark all this stuff too so I can read it a little better. Alright, let's get this cut out and then get it on the drill press and cut the holes into it. I think that hole saw bit's trash.
Yeah, it looks like a sour cream. Wow.
Well, took a little longer than expected, but it's got a hole in it now. As you can see, we got our plate cut out, and that's going to bolt right to the front of the master cylinder just like that. So what we need to do now is build a bottom section to it. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to make a bottom plate that'll bolt to it. That'll be about 6 inches long. After that, we can build our lower gussets here, and then add our pivot point for the handle. That'll go about right here. So first, I got to get that cut, then figure the rest out after. Now that I got the plates cut out, I'm going to get it all cleaned up. I think I'm just going to leave this overhang on there for now. If need be later, I can cut that out, but I don't really think it's going to be an issue. I might be able to actually use it for a little bit of additional bracing on that surface right there. So I'm going to clean this up, get it tacked in place, and then build the gusset, and then the upper that's going to hold the actual handbrake handle. And then I'll have to build a little clevis for this to bolt onto the handbrake handle as well. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is hold this like that, mark it where I need to cut, and I should be able to just cut this line, flip it, trace it, and then cut another one. And I should have two matching sides. Mark it, cut it. Okay, there's our gusset bracket for that. And we have a matching one for the other side right here. It all lines up pretty good. This metal is kind of dirty. It's got this really shitty coating on it. I'm actually gonna break that weld off real quick and clean it up a little bit better. I really didn't get it all off on this piece. Okay, batteries on my camera died, so I did a little bit of stuff while the batteries were charging up. So first of all, we already showed how this is going to bolt in, and this is the main bracket section. So this right here I cut out, so this is going to be the pivot on here. So I'm going to have a hole here, and then like a clevis, or I might put a heim joint in there, but yeah, that's going to bolt on, and that's what's actually going to push the master cylinder in. I made a clevis for the base of the handbrake handle, which is this right here. And the clevis will get welded together, and then that will thread on to the master cylinder, and then I'll just have to put an upper mount in here for the pivot, and then weld the handle on. So I'm going to get this clevis welded up right now, and then I can fit the rest of that, move forward from there. Shouldn't be too bad. And there we have our clevis. Now when I do these and I weld up a clevis like this, one thing that I do is I put a washer in between this and the actual clevis. That way when you weld it, it usually will want to shrink up, and you know, it'll pull a little bit, so that way when you pull that washer out, it's a nice, almost perfect fit. So just a little tip if anybody wants to do this. Now I have the handbrake kind of put back together right now, and you know, you can start to get an idea of what it's going to look like. So from here, now I need to build the uprights that will hold the center right here where the pivot's going to be. And I just got to get some metal cut up, get some holes drilled in it, weld the supports on, and then probably just gusset it in a couple spots and give it a little bit of extra rigidity. But should be pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that stuff up, get some metal cut out. Alright, As you can see, I have the handle brackets cut out here, and the Clevis is right there. It's not in there, but yeah, you get the idea. Basically, that's just going to get welded on like that, and then once that's bolted up, weld the handle on, and it will, that's how our handbrake's going to work. I'll have to come up with some shimming for this section up here, so let me show you that real quick. So the space in between the top up here, as you can see, if this isn't shimmed properly, it'll be super loose. So I'll just have to put some spacers in here and get it right to that perfect sweet spot to keep it nice and tight, but loose enough that it'll move freely. Tight enough so it doesn't wiggle, loose enough that it still works. So I'm going to go ahead and weld these on. Alright, now that that's all tacked together, I think, you know, you can get a really good idea of what we're working with here. So, master cylinder bolts onto the back, fulcrums up top, little Clevis that we built. Now the only thing left is to figure out what the handle length we want to run is going to be, weld that on, and then go through and just finish weld the entire thing. And that's going to be our hydraulic handbrake. I'm definitely not going to install it today because I've already been at this for far longer than I should be, just because of like batteries dying and stuff like that. It's just taking way too long. So I'm going to go ahead, finish weld this, get the handle cut down, and I think I'm going to call it a day. Alright, now I got the handbrake handle cut. Now, it is excessively long right now, but I wanted to make sure it was long enough that I can cut it down if I need to. If I cut it too short, I'd be screwed. Now I need to get this sucker in here. Wedge this up against the concrete. There we have it, completely welded together. Now, all I need to do, wait till it cools down, and I can put the whole thing together. Give it a little test out. Alright, I got it all done. It's all cooled down, and I reassembled it. So it's right here. The only thing really left to do to it is, what I like doing on my handbrakes is I weld a bolt to the top of them that's threaded. That way I can put like a nice little shift knob on top of it. But it's all done. Everything feels good. It's nice and tight. Tight enough, loose enough. It's like right in that perfect medium. I usually use nylon nuts on here. That way you can get the tension just set just right on it. But as you can see, it'll work really good. So it's been a couple days since the last clip you guys seen. Now I got the handbrake cut down a little bit shorter, and I wanted to get a tap because I have this this little chunk of aluminum here. It's, you know, nicely machined and everything like that, and I figured, hey, why not, you know, tap that out and use it for a handbrake, you know, knob. Now what I have here is an example of what I do a lot of, which is work with what you got. So I cut a section of a bent inner tie rod that I had laying around and kind of welded it into there. And I took this, which is the piece that I'm going to use for the handle, and I tapped that out to a M16 2.0 to thread on here. So that's going to be my handle, just like that. Obviously this isn't mounted, but I just got a little plate kind of sitting in there right now just to hold it in place. But you know, this is the location it's going to be in generally. It's a, you know, very familiar to the way the GTO was. You know, shifter right here, nice tall shifter on it, handbrake close to the steering wheel. So this should actually work really nicely. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It's obviously a budget handbrake. The master cylinder cost me about $45 and material was like 10 bucks. So, you know, for about $50, I got a nice hydraulic handbrake and saved myself about 200 bucks from buying one of those like ASD ones or another super nice high quality handbrake, which I'm not knocking. Those are awesome. If I had the money for one, I'd gladly spend it, but you know, one of the things is I'm on a budget, so anywhere I can save a couple bucks on little things like this, like the handbrake, you know, I'm gonna save a couple bucks. This stuff adds up after a while. You know, I could go buy, you know, all the suspension arms and stuff like this and spend probably $4 to $5 grand getting all that set up, but I could probably make it all myself for around $500 or $600. So that's what I'm going to do. It's what I did on my GTO, and it worked out pretty well. One thing that I did spend the money on, though, was the pedal assembly. And I actually got the throttle pedal installed. It's a nice tilting throttle pedal. And it actually bolted right up to where the holes were for the pedal assembly for the brakes. So that's going to be it for this one, now that this is all set up. Not sure what I'm going to be doing next on the car, because it is getting close to that time when I got to start getting the GTO back together. So I think I'm about to financially put this car on hold for a couple weeks, you know, maybe a month. But I just got to get the GTO ready. The season's right around the corner. I got a bunch of rear suspension stuff I need to do. I got an engine I need to rebuild. So that car is now going to take priority. So I'm starting to get parts together. And then in a couple weeks here, I'm going to go down to Columbus, thrash on that car for a weekend and get it ready for competition. So I'll be sure to bring you guys along for that. It'll be a cool little 2-day thrash rebuild of an entire car pretty much. So yeah, look forward to seeing that in the future. But as for now, that's how you build a budget handbrake. You know, pretty simple. So subscribe to the channel, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.